At exactly 2:17 a.m., Ethan's phone rang. Half asleep, he reached for it, his eyes barely open. The screen showed no number, only the words, "Unknown caller." He hesitated for a moment, then answered. For a second there was nothing but silence. Then he heard breathing, slow, weak, familiar. And then a whisper. "Don't open the door." Ethan froze. His heart began to pound as he realized something was terribly wrong. The voice on the phone was his own. Just 3 days earlier, Ethan had moved into a small apartment on the outskirts of town. It was old, cheap, and mostly empty, but it was all he could afford. The hallways were narrow, with dim yellow lights that flickered sometimes for no reason. The silence inside the building always felt heavy, like the air itself was watching. When the landlord gave him the keys, he paused before leaving and said something strange. "If you hear knocking at night, check the time before you open the door." Ethan had laughed it off, assuming it was just a weird joke. The first few nights were completely normal. Ethan unpacked his things, set up his bed, and spent his evenings watching videos until he fell asleep. The quiet didn't bother him at first. In fact, he enjoyed it. But on the fourth night, something changed. Ethan woke up suddenly, his body tense for no reason he could explain. The room was completely dark. The air felt colder than usual. He reached for his phone and turned the screen on. 2:17 a.m. At that exact moment, there was a knock at the door. 3 slow knocks. Calm, deliberate. Ethan sat up, listening carefully. Maybe it was just someone at the wrong apartment. The knock came again, louder this time. He got out of bed and slowly walked toward the door. Each step felt heavier than the last. His hand hovered near the handle. Then he remembered the landlord's warning. He looked back at his phone. It still read 2:17 a.m. A strange feeling of fear crept into his chest. He stepped back. He decided not to open it. After a few seconds, the knocking stopped. The next morning, Ethan checked the hallway outside his apartment. It was empty, completely silent. Later, he asked the landlord if anyone had come by during the night. The landlord's face turned pale. "You heard it," he said quietly. Ethan tried to laugh, pretending it didn't scare him, but the landlord didn't smile. "Whatever you do," he said, "don't open the door." That night, Ethan couldn't relax. He kept looking at the door, expecting it to happen again. Eventually, he fell asleep. He woke up to the sound of his phone vibrating beside him. The screen glowed in the darkness. Unknown caller. His chest tightened. Slowly, he answered. At first, there was only breathing. Then he heard it. His own voice. Weak. Afraid. "Ethan, don't open the door." His heart began to race. He pulled the phone away from his ear, staring at it in disbelief. And then, the knocking started again. This time, it was louder, harder, more urgent. Bang, bang, bang. The door shook slightly with each hit. Ethan backed away, his breathing uneven. His mind struggled to understand how this was possible. If that was his voice on the phone, then who was outside? Suddenly, the knocking stopped. The silence felt suffocating. The next day, Ethan went downstairs and found the night security guard sitting near the entrance. The guard looked exhausted, his eyes dark and hollow. Ethan explained everything. The guard listened carefully, then asked quietly, "You're in apartment 3B, aren't you?" Ethan nodded. The guard looked away. "You're not the first person," he said. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. The guard continued, "A man lived there years ago. He said someone knocked on his door every night at the exact same time." Ethan swallowed nervously. "What happened to him?" The guard hesitated. "One night, he opened the door." Ethan waited for him to continue. The guard's voice dropped to a whisper. "He was never seen again." That night, Ethan packed a small bag. He didn't care about the apartment anymore. He just wanted to leave. He sat on the bed, waiting for morning, but exhaustion slowly pulled him into sleep. When he opened his eyes again, the room was dark. His phone lay beside him, its screen glowing faintly. 2:17 a.m. Before he could react, the knocking began. Violent, aggressive. Bang, bang, bang! The sound echoed through the apartment. The door handle began to move slowly, turning just enough to make his heart stop. At the same moment, his phone started ringing again. Unknown caller. His hands shook as he answered. A terrified voice screamed through the speaker. His voice. "Ethan, run!" The knocking stopped instantly. The silence that followed was unbearable. Ethan stared at the door, unable to breathe. And then he saw it. A shadow beneath the door. Dark, still, waiting. Ethan didn't think. He grabbed his keys and ran. He ran out of the apartment, down the hallway, down the stairs, and out of the building. He never went back.